Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om. Welcome everyone. Good day. And before we get into the big picture, we are coming to the end. I think next Thursday we probably will be done with this text. And then Lynn, you have suggested we go into Drisha Viveka, no? So since we do not have any other suggestion, we will begin with that text. I will be emailing the text to you all. And then we can take a look and we will follow that book, that text. Okay? Did you get that, Karen? Okay. So, any questions?
Maybe you could, I like to have a hard copy too. Maybe could, like Lynn or somebody, could you like write down the name of the title of the book and the author, like in the chat or something? Or are you going to send that, Orlando?
Yeah, the book, the book is, it's not very big because it's a short text, but I followed when I taught this text, I followed the compilation of Swami Paramarthananda's exposition of the text. I will send you the book, and I don't think you can purchase it, but you can print it, okay, with a cover and everything. So, do we have any questions regarding our last class? Did you watch the class, Claudio? So we have our official questioner here back. Does anyone have any question regarding anything?
I see the lesson, but I have in reality a question about karma yoga. Reality at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
So because all the existence, all the creation that we study in Panchadasi, it's most technical, but it's quite clear. And but the last week I tried to start to explain karma yoga with my students of meditation, all these things. And teaching is very good because you learn a lot when you teach.
Yeah.
And I want to share with you that it's a little bit hard to explain karma yoga because people have some difficulty to see the real practical way of karma yoga, maybe at the beginning. And I try to explain some example, for example, in applying it for fears, for desires, for problems. And I try to explain something like that you have to know Ishwara, you have to know that you have to explain also all the desire thing, that desires don't solve any problem. With desire, when you accomplish a desire at the end, nothing changes, that life is a zero-sum game. And with fears also, because we are in a time where people have a lot of fears, and maybe it's very hard for people not to understand, because before karma yoga you have to explain all the Ishwara stuff, all the desire stuff, and everything. So can you tell, well, this is not really a question, it's a sharing.
Yeah.
But can you tell me if there is some...
So how did Kama Yoga came into the equation within the relationship with your students of meditation? So why you brought Kama Yoga? What was the purpose? And did they ask you something on those lines, just to understand what?
I at the end, I always talk about Vedanta in some way, and I start simply to explain what Karma Yoga is, because a lot of people had read some books, you know, people heard something, and they are all confused about that, because only reading a book, it's really not clear for a lot of people. And I try to explain what is, how I apply it, what I understand about it. And this is simply the reason that I want to start to teach, because I see that if I teach, I'm more motivated to study, and it's more for me, it's at the end it's for me, because I want to understand better.
The first thing to understand, Claudio, is that Karma Yoga is knowledge yoga. You understand? So you cannot explain Karma Yoga outside of the context of Vedanta as something that you just have to do. You understand? So karma means action, but it does not mean that you're going to do an action in period. No, you're going to start the relationship between Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat, and all of that within the context of Satya, which is our true nature, consciousness. So you're going to start until you understand this apparent order of reality and the relationship between Jiva Atma, which is our very secondary apparent nature, in which way we relate to Satya, in which way we relate to the Creator, and which are the laws regulating and controlling the Dharma field, so that we know how to transact. So you cannot explain Karma Yoga merely on a practical level. You have to bring it within the context of Vedanta. So what I'm trying to say, you cannot explain Karma Yoga outside of the context of Vedanta. You understand? It is knowledge yoga. That's why it is within the umbrella of Vedanta. And the first thing I would do if I was you is to make it clear that Karma Yoga is knowledge yoga, okay? And the approach of the Upanishads or the Vedanta is that the only way to liberation is through knowledge. And there are different levels of knowledge, and spiritually speaking, there is a knowledge in regards to this mithya order of reality in which Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat come into play. So we need to have this knowledge, because this knowledge is fundamental, instrumental for the purification, preparation of our minds, our intellect, so that we can understand Jnana Yoga on the Satya level. You understand? I'm trying to say the Karma Yoga is also Jnana Yoga because it's knowledge yoga, but it's knowledge about Mithya, knowledge about Ishvara, Jiva, and Jagat. So when you present Karma Yoga like that, and then you're already telling them, oh, it's not about doing anything. It's about understanding. But people believe that it is about doing something because of the very denomination, Karma Yoga, yoga, the sound of action. Why yoga of action? Because you don't need to stop acting. You don't need to pause your life to be a Karma Yogi. You convert, you transform your actions, your daily actions, your interaction with your environment. You're going to convert those actions, but first you need the knowledge, and then you're going to be able to gradually convert those actions into a spiritual practice. But you cannot convert those actions into a spiritual practice if you have assimilate, understood, Karma Yoga as knowledge yoga. It's all knowledge. So Karma Yoga is a knowledge yoga that is going to give us, a certain freedom from a certain level of ignorance that is a great burden in the mind of the Jivatma. That's the fantasy that he's independent of the creator and of the Dharma field, and that he has control. He can direct his life in a way that there are no other factors involved, and so on. And it's a setup for failure and frustration and suffering. This illusion that I have control over my life, I'm a go-getter, and so on. So Karma Yoga, it is this knowledge, you understand? And then to the extent that we assimilate this knowledge, and then we can see this ignorance in respect to these basic laws of mithya. When the ignorance surfaces, and then you practice, but it is a intellectual, cognitive practice. You understand? It's not what you're doing, is the perspective of doing that understands or brings into account the fact that, I'm just responding to the field, and there are many factors involved, and I'm not doing that for the sake of getting what I want. I'm doing that for the sake of having peace of mind, because Karma Yoga is going to give peace of mind and focus to the mind. You understand? We need to have, so you have to present to your student that we need to have a very good, strong, and balanced and pure mind to go into the Upanishads. You understand? And Karma Yoga is going to provide that opportunity. And we're going to practice it through our daily activities. We don't need to stop doing our things. But it's not into the doing. It is into the application of the knowledge while you are doing. You are doing that, remembering that there is a creator, there are several laws, and you are designed to respond to whatsoever your prarabdha karma brings. And the way you respond is going to be determinant. It's going to determine, your future circumstances as well. So it is this understanding, the understanding between of Jiva in relation to Ishwara is the key. James used to see understanding Ishwara is the key for self-knowledge and moksha. Because otherwise you're never going to have a peaceful, clear, sattvic, refined, subtle mind. But the mind is going to be all the time suffering because it's trying the impossible, which is to be in control of the field of experience, right? So it's not a question of practicing, it's a question of remembering the teachings. Every time those infantile reactions or vasanas about wanting to have control of one's experience comes into play, and then they say, no, say, stop, I have got this knowledge, and I know that this is a recipe for disaster, for suffering. So how can we practice Karma Yoga? It's not about helping the poor, although helping the ones in need is also part of the Karma Yoga attitude, sharing, instead helping, contributing. It's part of it, but it's far from it. It's understanding Ishwara, understanding what is a Jiva, what is Ishwara, and what is the Dharma field, Ishwara, Jiva, Jagat. So what you need to do to introduce them to Karma Yoga, you need to introduce them to Vedanta, and then you say, oh, this is Satya, this is Mithya. If I tell you that you are free, limitless consciousness, and you are whole and complete, that there is nothing lacking, and you are free and independent of your experience, you tell them, if I tell this to you, you may accept it, but you are not really going to benefit from it because it's not going to work. So, because I'm telling the ultimate truth, But for you to accept that and to claim that and live from that platform of understanding, you have to have a very subtle and refined sattvic mind. And this mind requires some a pre kind of sadhana, which is karma dharma upasana. Yeah? And then what's karma yoga? It begins with the knowledge in respect to mithya. It's the knowledge of mithya knowledge. You understand? You understand, Claudio? You cannot just present it fragmented as, oh, yes, do this and do this. No, it is, the picture is like that. It is the knowledge of mithya knowledge. What is mithya? Is an apparent order of reality. It is consciousness appearing as Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat. And Jiva is consciousness. It shines with consciousness, and it's not having a good time because it is mistakenly identified with the body-mind. And this Jiva wants to control its experience in a way that it can have only pleasurable experience, but it fails until it understands Ishwara, the creator, and understand the creation as well, in which there are laws governing this creation. And then if they are interested, and then you can begin teaching, and you're going to learn a lot, as you said, as you teach. You understand? Okay, I'm giving you a wider picture so that you can maybe able to approach them. Now you can give them a flavor of Jnana Yoga on the Satya level. You know, oh, you're already free, whole, and complete. You're limitless consciousness. There's nothing missing or lacking. Your experience do not affect you. But then you tell them, I mean, but it's difficult to really embrace that. You understand? Unless you have a very subtle, pure, and sattvic mind. And the key for this development of mental conditions is karma dharma, understanding the laws of karma and the laws of dharma. And meditation can be part of it. Meditation, in fact, is a concession that Vedanta does make. Meditation per se is not really knowledge yoga. That's why it does not really appear everywhere in Vedanta. But here and there, Vedanta makes a concession to ignorance and says, okay, let's consider also Upasana yoga. Now, since not everybody is fully qualified only through karma dharma. And then, okay, you need further qualification. Then meditation. Meditation is going to help to control a little bit thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, and deeds. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Claudio?
No. I needed this broader picture because it's at the end, it's a lot of time that we don't talk about karma yoga. So it's always good to remember it, because maybe I have forget it and I see it like maybe yes, only on the practical level. And but I see what you say. I see what you just say, because when I try to explaining, I realize that, but I have to explain before Ishvara, then the Jiva, then the desire. It's all knowledge yoga, but as you say, it's not really it's practical, but it's based all on knowledge. If you don't
it's practical to the degree that it transforms one's experience of life. So the experience that the Jiva have of him, herself, and the world is different. So in that sense, it's practical. But how can you practice knowledge? A lot of people tend to say that Vedanta is practical. It is practical in the way that your practical life is going to benefit, you understand? But you cannot practice Vedanta. You need to understand Vedanta. And then if you begin to understand, you need to keep a certain degree of vigilance to remember what you learned every time ignorance comes and starts doing its tricks. And then it's an intellectual, cognitive exercise of application of knowledge or remembering the knowledge and holding on to the knowledge. You understand? This is the practical level. And it's the same thing when you say to your student, oh, it's practical because it reduces fear or reduce expectations. You know, yes, but how does it do? It does not do it by saying like I say, okay, I'm not afraid, or I don't expect anything, I'm here now. No, you need to go deeper into the issue and understand why I'm afraid. You understand? Even if, without going into Satya, why am I afraid? I understood, you know, I understood that there is a creation here, there is a creator, and I'm receiving my prarabdha karma as the fruits of my actions, my past actions, and everything that I do now is an effort to purify and refine my mind. And I know that I have to give up the expectations about the future, about the results, you understand? So what is this? You are practicing it, and then you start seeing the result. The result is less anxiety, less fear, less expectation. But why? Why? Not because I made a point that I will never expect anything. No, because I understood what a foolish to expect things from the Dharma field, because the Dharma field is not under my control. And if I keep expecting, you understand? And then I'm setting myself up for suffering. But then the individual has to suffer again, suffer for a year, 2 years after listening to Vedanta. And then 10 years, and maybe finally enough, it understands, and then it stops having these expectations about getting what I wanted, any cost, you understand? And then once I know, now I understood the rules of the game, whatsoever comes is perfect design, because it's the results. If it's Papa, it's going to serve to exhaust some of my karmic debt, and if it's punya, it's good, but I know it does not last. And then slowly you become more and more indifferent to punya and karma, and knowing that everything is part of this process, processing karma, processing vasana, which is only possible when you understand Ishwara and Jagat. So what is the exercise? The exercise is merely intellectual, assimilation and retention of knowledge. And then it manifests on the practical level, because life is practical. Life is not a theory. Life is practical. The way we live our lives is, is where we see the big test, where we are. So that is the practical level, to the degree of what I have assimilated from this knowledge. And then I benefit from the knowledge on the practical level, right? Do you have any insight, Mark?
I was just appreciating your answer, Arlindo. Great answer. No, like you say, without knowledge of Ishvara, it's impossible to do karma yoga, really. Yeah, no, I haven't really got any insight. Very nice answer.
Okay, you, Karen? Are you okay?
Yes, I always look at karma yoga, I guess, as letting go of the results, letting go of my control over what happens in life. So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah. Very good. Anything else?
No, very clear. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or considerations or? Okay, so we begin today from the oneness of Jiva and Ishwara, right? We covered a little bit of this paragraph last week. One of the most important topics in Vedanta is the essential oneness of Jiva and Ishwara. So here we are present the Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi is being presented by the oneness of Jiva and Ishwara. It's not by any chance that James brought that notion of Ishwara 1, Ishwara 2. A lot of the time in the text, we see Brahman being presented as Ishwara 2, because Ishwara 2 is such a beautiful reflection on the macrocosmic medium, reflecting medium called Maya. So Maya produced Ishwara as the intelligent cause of the universe, and then the laws and rules and the manifestation of the universe in which the jivas come. So it's so closely intimate with Ishwara 1. And here it presents the oneness of Jiva and Ishwara, and it refers to Ishwara 2. We should not make any mistake, because we know the difference between Jiva and Ishwara. So Jiva, in its substantial nature, as the three bodies, and even as the consciousness reflect in the macrocosmic reflecting media, the Jiva is very limited, as we know. And we enjoy this chit, this consciousness, this human consciousness. We enjoy it because there is a lot of sattva guna playing at our body-mind complex. We have the merit to be born with a body-mind complex, which is conditioned by a lot of sattva guna, and that gives us the opportunity of enjoying chit, which is the knowledge nature of Brahman. So we enjoy this knowledge nature, but whatsoever we know is so limited. We try to have some knowledge of phenomenal object, and our knowledge is really sucks, we could say, because it's limited and it's always subject to error and constant need of revisions and so on. But we enjoy this aspect of Brahman, which is consciousness, chit. But as far as Ishwara is all knowledge, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. Jiva is only present wherever his body is in the timeline, in its time space. So Ishwara is the entire body of the manifest universe, and it's the entire knowledge. So in which way Jiva and Ishwara is one? It can only be one in their essential fundamental nature as Brahman. And I would say Ishwara and Jiva are one. There is a oneness there. There is a oneness as Ishwara 1, as Brahman, because both are reflections that occur on different reflecting mediums, but the nature of both is pure limitless consciousness, but it shines as the Lord, omniscient, all-knowing, and it shines as a Jiva. Poor Jiva, it knows almost nothing. But this little chit that shines in the human intellect has the potential, although it can never know everything, but it can know its fundamental, essential, free nature. You see the benefit, the merit, and the privilege of being a Jivatma. So Ishwara and Jiva is not really the same, but they are one in their essential, free nature in Brahman, as Brahman, consciousness, existence. Jiva represents the microcosmic level, the individual soul manifests with three bodies, and then we have Jiva. Ishwara is the cosmos, the universe. On the macrocosmic level, the consciousness that shines and enlivens both Ishwara and Jiva is the same consciousness. So how does this consciousness, meaning to say Brahman, enlivens Ishwara? You said because Ishwara, it has different levels to itself. It is the efficient cause of the universe, the intelligent cause. How it is enlivening and pervading, when it pervades Ishwara as the efficient cause of the universe, it's just shining pure sattva, and then you have this conscious, self-conscious, shining being, yeah, made of pure knowledge, pure intelligence. It's the very fabric of Ishwara is knowledge. So consciousness is pervading Ishwara, producing this pure sattva, you understand, which is the first modification that occurred in the manifestation. You cannot have a universe being produced without having the know-how, yeah, the knowledge to produce, sustain, and keep it forever. Yeah? So Ishwara is pervaded. This consciousness pervades and enlivens Ishwara. Ishwara is a living organism. The universe is a living organism. It is enlivened by the same consciousness, the same existence. And so is the case with the Jiva. The Jiva is more easily seen that, okay, so the Jiva is so identified with its material aspect that say, oh, of course, I am enlivened. So, but the three bodies are pervaded by the same consciousness that shines in Ishwara as this pure knowledge, and then shines as the dynamic energies of the universe that grossifies to become the manifest universe, which is an alive, pulsating organism. Yeah? So Ishwara is there in its three different levels of manifestation, and it's pervaded by consciousness, and the Jiva is also there. All the three bodies are being pervaded and enlivened. And what's the difference? The difference is the reflection, and it's due to different reflecting mediums. So we have the big medium, the macrocosmic medium, and the micro one. This unity, this oneness between Jiva and Ishwara is established in all the scriptures, in all the Upanishads. So the Upanishad is the end of the Vedas. They come with final declarations, mantras or mahavakyas. They say, okay, now, therefore, since we have done everything, understood everything, now you are ready. So I'm going to tell you, you are that Brahman. So these mahavakyas, they come at the end of the Vedas. It says that the Jiva Atma is Paramatma. So from different sources, this declaration is the same. The unity between Jiva and Ishwara as Brahman. Jiva is an expression of pure consciousness obtaining in the microcosm three bodies, while Ishwara is an expression of the same consciousness obtaining in the macrocosm gross subtle bodies of the universe. So the universe is a living being, and is constituted by three bodies. The same way the Jiva Atma is constituted by three bodies. We have the universe. There is a macrocosm causal body, the macrocosm subtle body, and the macrocosm physical body of the universe, which is the universe manifest as physical, material, space, and so on. Although the expression of Ishwara and Jiva, of the universe and Jiva Atma, although the expression of these two factors differs according to the composition of the reflecting medium, it is fundamentally the same consciousness. It is the same consciousness that animates and pervades Ishwara and Jiva. Therefore, the essential nature of Jiva and Ishwara is the same, is consciousness. Now we have different mediums, we have different reflections. One is the huge reflection as the universe, and then we see in the universe, we have these small little reflecting mediums that also reflect this consciousness, which seems only to serve the purpose to allow consciousness to recognize itself within the creation as the experiencing agents that fundamentally are pure consciousness. One light, many reflections. Imagine a dark room in which all the windows and doors are shut. leaving not a trace of light. And suppose that we want to illumine a room, and but we don't have electrical power, but there is light outside. And then so we, being very smart, we just buy some mirrors and say, no, I want to have a nap in the afternoon, but before I want to read my book, but it's too dark. All right, then I put a mirror outside there because there is a sunlight hitting my balcony. And then I get that and I direct the reflect light to my living room, but I want to be in the bedroom. I opened the door of my bedroom and I lined up another mirror that's going to send that beam of light to my bedroom, right there where I want to be reading my book. So the mirror is the best possible analogy to the manifestation of the universe. You understand? So we have consciousness, and then we have to have a reflecting medium on which the universe shines. The shining world, as picked up by James Watt, the shining world. It shines where? It shines in consciousness, meaning to say in the first modification in consciousness called Maya, Prakriti. And then this reflection is going to produce this world. So these reflecting mediums, this mirror-like reflectors is a very important teaching of Vedanta knowledge, because it helps us to understand that we are the byproduct of a certain reflector. How do I enjoy this consciousness? I either understand that there is something here producing the reflection, or I'm going to misunderstand and I will believe that I am self-generating consciousness. I'm an object, a configuration of the elements which produce consciousness, which is the mistaken happening all over the world, even in the spiritual circles, that we are self-contained. We have consciousness being a byproduct of matter, matter/energy. So therefore, in order to understand that consciousness is an independent, free principle, you understand? We need to understand the fact that there are reflecting mediums that produce this shining consciousness, this shining world, this shining intellect, So we need to understand the reflecting medium teachings of Vedanta. The mirror does not have any illuminating capacity. So when you bring the mirror into equation, and then you have to look into this analogy I was talking about. So I have the sunlight, and then I have one mirror in the living room, in the balcony in the living room, and then I get some sunlight to read my book in the afternoon. So when I'm doing that, so I have to ask myself, so where is the light coming from? And then if we are short-minded, we look and say, it's coming from this mirror here at my entry, in the outside of my bedroom. But then when I look at it from a wider view, I see, no, this light is coming from the mirror in the balcony. But the truth is that the light is coming from the sunlight. But then I will say, okay, and then remove the mirrors because, the light is coming from the sunlight. If I remove the mirrors, what happens? I cannot read my book. So where is the sunlight coming from? It's coming from the sun, but it needs the help of two mirrors so that I can enjoy its light. So likewise, we enjoy this light of consciousness, this human consciousness. We own it to the reflecting medium. But if we believe that, I am the reflecting medium, the body-mind complex, and then I'm again misled, you understand? Because I am not that. Understand? Even if I say like, okay, I am the there is a reflecting medium and my consciousness is coming from this reflecting medium and I ignore that it's coming from Brahman, I'm again mistaking my identity. And then what happens when this reflecting medium breaks down? Oh my God, now I was, I was putting everything on the reflecting medium, and now the eternal pill, the pill of eternal life did not come into my lifetime. A lot of people hopes for the eternal life technology that could allow human beings to live forever. Now I know I'm totally attached to the reflecting medium, the body-mind complex, and then it's gone, and then I'm gone. So we need to understand that there is a light as the very source of consciousness, and I am that consciousness. So therefore, I am that Brahman, which is more than I am Ishwara, because as Ishwara, how can I say I am Ishwara? I am Ishwara only as consciousness, but I'm enjoying a reflection, which is a small, tiny reflection compared to Ishwara. And then I would be very envious of Ishwara, and I want to be Ishwara, and then I'm in trouble again. So I need to establish my identity in Brahman as Brahman, consciousness, the original consciousness. No? So the analogy that we often use is the sun and the moon. No? So we enjoy some light in the night, reflect by the moon, but we know that the moon does not have light of its own. So it reflects light from our sun, from the star. So the same thing is the human consciousness. It requires a moon, which is the body-mind complex, and then we have this chit, this sattvic aspect of consciousness at our disposal. As the sunlight strikes the mirror is lit up, becomes a source of light to the room. The mirror previously was non-luminous. Now it becomes luminous due to the light, the sunlight. What is the difference between the sun's light and the mirrors in light? So what is the difference between the sun, the sun before it hits the two mirrors and the light, the sunlight before and after it bounces into mirrors to bounce on my book? What is the difference? No, they are basically only rays of light. It may be more intense, less intense, more white, less white, but when we're going to analyze, we'll see, no, they are all light rays. So it's the same nature, the same thing is consciousness. So, and what is the big deal about trying to understand that I am of the nature of pure light? Even if it is, reflected in an old, 100 years old body-mind complex. Oh my God, I am that consciousness, But the medium, the reflecting medium is old. It's no longer great, That's why we say that knowledge is always good. If we are meant to live for 100 years, and then it doesn't matter if you have this knowledge, even if your mind gets weaker and tamasy, knowledge is always good. They say, oh, it doesn't matter. I got to learn what I need to learn here. I know that I am original consciousness, although the reflection here is not very great anymore. You understand? It's not very good. So the good deal, the big thing about that is to understand that as consciousness, you are free and independent from what? From the other two factors. You are free from the reflecting medium and the reflection. So there are three, the human experience requires three things: original consciousness, reflecting medium, two reflecting mediums, the macro reflecting medium that brings about Ishwara, Jiva, and Jagat, and then we see Jagat, we have the micro reflecting medium that's going to bring about our conscious experience as human beings. So we have this conscious experience depending on 2 or 3, as we want to say, now 2 reflecting mediums and original consciousness, and then here I come as the Jiva Atma. So if we get attached to 1 reflecting medium, my micro, or if I get attached to the macro reflecting medium, I'm still in trouble. I have identified with God. I have identified with creation. So now I have to establish my identity and claim my identity in the only factor that is free and independent from both reflecting mediums and both reflections, which is Ishwara and Jiva. This reflect light is called Pratibimba Surya, or Surya, I don't know. Pratibimba. Bimba is light. Prat is reflected light. So we have Pratibimba Surya and Bimba Surya, light, reflected light, sunlight. Surya is I think Surya is sun. It's sunlight, okay? It's sunlight that is reflect in a pratibimba. In a, I know I'm not reflect, Lucia. Yeah, a soul and reflect light. Yeah, pratibimba, light, and then solar, sol, Surya goes to sol, sun. And then the original light is technically said Bimba Surya. Bimba Surya. And similarly, it is with reflect light that this moon appears to glow in the sky. The moon is actually has no light. There are 3 factors involved in this process: the original light, the reflecting medium, and the reflected light. There can be as many reflect suns as there are reflecting mediums. So we have the full moon, and then there will be so many reflecting lakes and surface or substance that can reflect this moon, for example, or even the sun during the day. So there is an infinity of reflections, and when we look at Jiva Atmas are reflections. Remember, the Jiva Atma is a reflection, reflected consciousness. So how many reflected consciousness there is in this planet of ours? They say that's close to 8 billion. So we have 8 billion reflected human jivas, reflect consciousness, as human jivas. And then there are billions and trillions of other creatures, many trillions or more of all kinds of other jivas, which are shining with the same consciousness. So every living creature is shining with consciousness. And furthermore, every configuration of Maya, even the inert objects, are still reflecting consciousness, although it does not show as chit, as knowledge, as knowingness. So we have the whole world is shining, is reflecting consciousness, even the inert world. So many reflect lights of consciousness. There will be many differences in the surface, on the reflection, depend upon the quality of the reflecting medium. A small medium will produce a small reflection, a big medium, a wide reflection. And the quality of the medium is going to produce more chit, less chit, more knowledge, less knowledge. So, but the original consciousness is one and the same. So if we have a dual tamasic medium, it will produce a dual tamasic reflection. If we have a sattvic, shine and clear mirror or reflecting medium, then we're going to have what? We're going to have a nice reflection. So why we emphasize on the fact that we need to purify the body-mind construct? Because we need to have a good reflector. The reflections are different because of the quality of the reflecting medium, the mirror, okay? So, and then now, so what is the deal with self-knowledge? Is purifying the medium forever, because it's very difficult to get anything purified in Nitya. Everything has inclusions. And you can never find a mirror that stands on its own only with sattva. Even Maya has to bring about the other two energies, to hold together the macrocosm reflecting media so that Ishwara can shine not only as pure knowledge, but the dynamic force and the grossified matter through tamas as well, rajas and tamas. So we have these different mediums, and we know that it's important to purify the reflecting medium. Why? Because it needs to have a larger proportion of sattva guna, because we want to understand something which is going to free us from suffering, from samsara. And for that, we need more sattva. But it does not need to be something like, wow, 90% sattva. No, just a little bit more. But when you have a little bit more of reflect, pure, focused, and clear consciousness, and if you direct it to the scriptures, you understand? You may have even less sattva than most of these scientists, but the scientists are direct to phenomenal object. You understand? We need to clear the reflecting medium and direct it to the scriptures so that we understand that which is the only thing worth really knowing, because it's going to put an end to the need for all other knowledge as a means to complete ourselves. Okay, the original sun is analogous to the all-pervade consciousness, which is the self or Brahman. We have two reflecting mediums. One is the body-mind complex of the Jiva that is present here as the three-body system. It's interesting to understand that because we enjoy this cheat, in a efficacious and objective way only when the three bodies are properly integrated. You understand? So we often say, we need to purify the sattva body to have a good mind. The mind is not a mind without the physical body. The mind is going to produce thoughts, although we can see that it produces thoughts in the dream state in which the physical body is not available. But that source of thoughts fades after some time because they are impressions of thoughts that can be really worked upon during the awakened state in which we have the subtle body and the physical body at our disposal. So the reflecting medium is the body-mind complex, the three bodies, okay? And if we want to purify the mind, we need to keep in account that the physical body needs to be purified as well, not for the sake of living forever, but for the sake of, having a physical body more alert, more sattvic, more clear, and then the mind, which is combined with this physical body, is going to be more alert, more clear, more sattvic. The body-mind complex is one single organism. Okay, there are therefore a lot of emphasis on beginning the work from the body, yoga, the asanas and so on, and the pranayamas and so on. They work from the body, work from the pranas, because they find it easier to improve the mind coming from the bottom, coming from the more dense. So, but generally speaking, we can use any help to purify the body-mind complex, because the body-mind complex is the reflecting medium. These three bodies reflect consciousness and can be compared to a small mirror reflecting consciousness, the sun, the light of consciousness. The second reflecting medium is the macrocosmic, gross, subtle, and causal bodies of the universe, which can be compared to the large mirror. The reflected consciousness then enlivens and unifies the microcosmic three bodies. The reflect consciousness that enlivens and unifies the microcosmic three bodies is called Jiva. This is a very important statement. Okay? It says that Jiva is the reflected consciousness. Jiva is not the three bodies. It's not the body-mind complex. Okay? The body-mind complex is the reflecting medium. What is Jiva? Jiva is reflected consciousness, as I often emphasize. The reflect consciousness, and this reflect consciousness is what it unifies, the three bodies, okay, and vivifies, enlivens, and vivifies and unifies the three bodies in a single phenomenon called Jiva, which is the reflection of this original consciousness in the body-mind complex. Therefore, the reflected consciousness that enlivens, vivifies, and unifies the microcosmic three bodies, or in other words, the body-mind complex of the Jiva, this reflect consciousness is the Jiva. Yeah? The reflect consciousness then enlivens, unifies, and vivifies the macrocosm, three bodies of the universe, the causal, the sun, is called what? Ishwara, the Lord of this apparent order reality, manifests through the three gunas. Right? Anything coming from you? Any questions? Any contributions? No complaints? And then we have a chart here that says Brahman, the original consciousness. Now, consciousness is being presented as Brahman. We have Jiva and Ishwara. So Jiva is a reflect consciousness. Ishwara is the reflect consciousness as well. Okay? So both are reflect consciousness. So what is the difference between both? The difference is found in the reflecting medium and the reflection that occurs in the reflecting mediums. So Jiva has a causal body. In the causal body, he is known as the prana, the sleeper, meaning to say that consciousness pervades the causal body, bringing about a reflected consciousness called the prana. See? Prana is reflect consciousness, is being vivified, unified, and enlivened by consciousness to become prana. It sleeps, but it is a reflect consciousness. There is an agent there, an experienced knowing agent called the prana. And then Jiva has the subtle body. In the subtle body, it becomes the dreamer, Taijasa. So as a Taijasa, as the dream, it needs to use the subtle body to not only project this subjective reality, which is privately retained by even individual soul, it not only projects it, but it experiences this dream world. So the dreamer is the one agent, its consciousness reflecting in the subtle body, producing an entity called Taijasa. And then in the gross body of the Jiva, we have Vishwa, which is the awaker. So the awaker is said to be operating through the gross body. He's called Vishwa, and he has access to the gross, dense manifestation of the universe, not only the subtle aspect of the universe, he has access. But the gross body of the awaker the awaker operates through the gross body, it does not operate without the subtle body and the causal body as well. So much so that the Jiva has the ability to dream while awaking. We may be awake, but we may have the ability to just remember, visualize, dream, project, and we can dream. Some people dream a lot while awake because it's always available to us. We have the subtle body, In fact, the subtle body is the vivifying the physical body of the Vishwa, and the gross body of the Jiva, the Vishwa, is being kept alive by the subtle body, and the subtle body is the mental, emotional, intellectual body, and they do not stand without the causal body either. So it's the body-mind complex is the reflecting medium. And on the other hand, Ishwara, reflect consciousness, also has a causal body, which is unmanifest consciousness, antaryami, and the subtle body, which is more common to us, and hiranyagarbha, the mind of the universe, the mind of the Lord, or the collective mind. Sometimes it seems the collective mind of all jivas, plus the mind of Ishwara, the one who keeps all these minds under account in a way that it can give back to us what we put in the field. Then we have the subtle, and we have the gross universe, which is Virat, the physical cosmos, the physical universe. So this is this chart. There appear to be difference between Jiva and Ishwara because the fact mediums are different, and because of this, the reflections are also different. So is the reflection of consciousness of Claudio different from the reflection of consciousness of Karen? What do you think, Karen? I mean, the answer in Vedanta is very simple. You always say yes and no.
True. We have similarities and we have differences. Yes.
Not only that, I mean, if you look, on the surface, you're gonna see different thoughts, different emotions, different notions. So there is a difference there. But the reflection is chit, is consciousness. There's no difference between the reflect consciousness in Claudio and you. You understand? Because fundamentally, they are what? They are light of consciousness. But due to the difference on the reflecting medium, the mirror is different. And then the reflection is going to be slightly different. In fact, it's always different. But it's not different because both are fundamentally reflected consciousness, but they are colored by different configurations of the mirror. So is the reflection different? Yes and no. It is different if I look on the surface, the thoughts, emotions, and notions, and then they appear to different. But when I look a little deeper, it's both are reflected consciousness, and both are of the nature of original consciousness. Do you understand, Karen? So we need to be able to look not at the surface to find a way to live in harmony with other creatures, other beings, because fundamentally we are all reflect consciousness. We are the same phenomenon called reflect consciousness, and if we want to look a little deeper, we are all consciousness appearing, as reflecting mediums and effects reflect consciousness, right? Okay, so we meet again next Monday, Ishwara willing. It's good to see you again, Karen, and arrivederci. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my friends. See you soon again. Much love.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you.
Yeah,
Love you.
thank you.
Ciao, ciao.